I want to ask you a question, and I want you to hold your answer in your head, because by the end of this video, you're going to realize just how wrong that answer is. If a major crisis hit your city today, how many days worth of water do you actually have at home right now? Most people hear that question and say a few days, but in a few minutes, I'm going to show you the real numbers. And those numbers consistently reveal that what people call a few days is actually somewhere between 18 and 36 hours. This video wasn't made to sell you survival gear, and it wasn't made to scare you. It was made to show you a reality that most people only discover when it's already too late, while you still have time to do something about it. Now here's something I want you to think about. Have you ever wondered exactly which products disappear from store shelves during a crisis, and in what order and how fast? Because that sequence plays out almost identically in every major crisis scenario. And the difference between knowing that sequence and not knowing it directly determines how your family spends the next 72 hours. So pay close attention to this list, because the last item on it is something you've almost certainly never considered. And yet in any extended crisis scenario, it ends up being more critical than everything else on the list combined. When a grid collapse, a major earthquake, a severe hurricane warning, or any serious infrastructure crisis begins, what does the average person do? They jump in their car and rush to the grocery store, and that is exactly the decision that will put their family in serious danger, because those store shelves will be completely stripped bare before they even pull out of the driveway, roughly 38 to 45 minutes after the panic wave hits social media. We're not guessing at this. The documented supermarket footage from Hurricane Irma in Florida in 2017, the Texas freeze crisis in 2021, and post-Katrina New Orleans all show the same pattern. Same sequence, same timeline, same mistakes, every single time. So why do people keep falling into the same trap? The answer is straightforward and a little uncomfortable. Psychologists call it normalcy bias, and it's one of the first concepts addressed in Navy SEAL basic training. Because when the brain encounters an unfamiliar threat, it spends an average of 8 to 12 minutes convincing itself the threat isn't real. And during that mental freeze window, people aren't grabbing their keys, they're not making calls, they're just waiting. And that waiting period in a crisis scenario is an operational disaster. Now I want you to know something. By the end of this video, I'm going to give you a specific list of things you can pick up from any regular store this week for less than most people spend on coffee in a month. That will put your family in a completely different position than everyone else when a crisis hits. But before that list means anything to you, I need to walk you through exactly how store shelves empty out and exactly what deadly mistakes most people make in each category without even realizing it. Before we get to the first category, let me ask you this. Which product do you think disappears from shelves the fastest? Is it water? Is it batteries? Or is it something most people never even think about? Hold your answer, because we're about to find out, and there's a good chance you're wrong. Water and water filtration consistently disappear from large stores within an average of 22 minutes after a crisis hits the news cycle. And the fatal mistake people make here isn't that they forget to buy water. It's that they buy the wrong amount, the wrong format, and with the wrong logic entirely. One adult needs a minimum of 2 liters of water per day just for drinking. And that doesn't include cooking, hygiene, or wound care, which means a 3-day emergency scenario requires a minimum of 9 liters per person. Yet research consistently shows that people in a panic buying situation put an average of 6 liters in their cart for 2 people, which leaves them completely dry on day 3, exactly when they need the most energy and the clearest thinking. The real solution isn't stockpiling plastic bottles. It's a large capacity water storage container and a reliable filtration system, both of which you can get today. Filtration systems like the LifeStraw run about $20, filter close to 1 million liters of water safely, and aren't in the same category as the cheap plastic pieces inside $100 pre-packaged survival kits. The core technology behind these filters is actually over 200 years old. It's the same layered sand, gravel, and charcoal method our great-grandparents used to purify well water, just refined into a $20 tube. And you will not find one of these on a store shelf during a crisis. Now you might be thinking, but can't I just drink tap water? And this is a critical point that most survival channels skip entirely. Grid collapse and water supply failure almost always go hand in hand, because municipal water systems rely on electric pumps to function. And during the 2021 Texas freeze crisis, thousands of people turned on their taps to find either nothing at all or water of unknown safety, which means a filtration system isn't optional. It's a core piece of infrastructure for your house household. Moving on to batteries and flashlights, and here I want to say something up front. The mistake people make in this category doesn't just cost them comfort, it costs them the ability to make good decisions under pressure. Because darkness degrades cognitive function faster than most people realize. Batteries and flashlights disappear from large stores within an average of 31 minutes, and the critical mistake here is defaulting to alkaline batteries. Lithium batteries last 3 to 4 times longer than alkaline, function in temperatures down to -40 degrees, and have a shelf life of up to 20 years. The U.S. Army's cold weather logistics units use lithium batteries as a standard operational requirement, not a preference, and you should think about your supply the same way. On flashlights, dozens of independent tests have shown that models in the $15 to $25 range consistently outperform the majority of $100 tactical flashlights on reliability and runtime. And from an operational security standpoint, 4 $25 reliable flashlights is a far better position than one $200 flashlight, because in a real crisis, you're not surviving alone, you're keeping a group functional. Before we get to food, I want to flag something this category reveals that most survival content completely ignores, and I'll get to it in a moment. But first, know this: the mistake most people make when panic buying food isn't the brands they choose or the products they grab, it's that they never do a single calorie calculation before they shop. Canned goods and ready-to-eat food disappear from store shelves by approximately the 47-minute mark. Canned beans, tuna, sardines, tomato products, and soups all go fast, but people tear through those shelves without reading labels or running any numbers. And the reality is that an adult under physical and psychological stress needs between 2,000 and 2,500 calories per day to maintain decision-making capacity, because chronic caloric deficit degrades judgment within hours. And impaired judgment in a crisis is a tactical disaster. The real answer here is something our grandparents knew and modern convenience culture has completely buried: dry legumes, lentils, chickpeas, beans, split peas. 1 kilogram of dry lentils contains approximately 3,500 calories, has a shelf life of 10 to 25 years, takes about 20 minutes to cook, and has been the primary protein source keeping people alive through wars and harsh winters across Europe, the Middle East, and Asia for over 2 centuries. And today you can get that same kilogram for almost nothing, which makes it a far more rational choice than $300 freeze-dried survival meal kits when you actually run the numbers on cost per calorie and shelf life. Now, on first aid and medications, I need to ask you something directly. Do you have a chronic condition, high blood pressure, diabetes, a thyroid disorder, anything that requires daily medication? I want you to take that question seriously, because what I'm about to say is probably the least exciting item in this video, and almost certainly the most important one for a significant portion of the people watching. Pharmacy shelves empty out within 45 to 75 minutes of a major crisis, and field medical records and historical crisis reports consistently show that the majority of deaths in crisis scenarios come not from acute trauma, but from infection, dehydration, and chronic medication interruption, which means a 30-day emergency supply of your prescription medications may be more critical to your survival than anything else on this list. And talking to your doctor today about getting the longest legally permissible prescription is the least glamorous but most operationally significant step you can take right now. A real operational first aid kit should contain a broad-spectrum antiseptic like betadine or iodine-based solution, compression bandages, a civilian-grade tourniquet. The medical version runs about $30 and is incomparably more effective than a standard first aid bandage, medical skin adhesive or a dermal stapler, and vitamin supplements, particularly vitamin C and vitamin D, because crisis diets are almost always nutritionally deficient in ways that compound physical stress over time. On heat and fuel, I need to say something directly because this mistake has killed people. During the 2021 Texas freeze crisis, a significant number of deaths were caused not by hypothermia, but by carbon monoxide poisoning from burning charcoal or running propane indoors, which is a faster outcome than freezing to death and entirely preventable. Portable fuel sources disappear from store shelves somewhere between 90 minutes and 2 hours into a crisis, but the correct solution is both safe and easy to get today. Solid fuel tablets for safe indoor use, oxygen sensor-equipped propane heaters designed for enclosed spaces, and what military cold weather operations call passive thermal management. A Mylar blanket, which costs just a few dollars, reflects back 90% of your body heat and weighs almost nothing. And the layering techniques, floor insulation practices, and window sealing methods our grandparents relied on through hard winters are the same foundational principles modern military cold weather gear standards are built on, just packaged differently. Hygiene and sanitation, is the category that almost no survival content addresses seriously, but it is historically the leading cause of casualties in crisis environments. 19th century military records show that the vast majority of battlefield deaths occurred not from wounds, but from cholera, dysentery, and infection. In other words, from hygiene collapse. And this isn't a history lesson. It's a biological reality that applies anytime clean water infrastructure fails, garbage collection stops, and sanitation systems go offline. Wet wipes, hand sanitizer, bleach, and toilet paper disappear from store shelves between hours 3 and 4 of a crisis, and the single highest priority item in this category is household bleach. According to World Health Organization emergency protocols, 8 drops of bleach per liter of water makes it safe to drink. It can be used for surface disinfection, and it cannot be produced in virtually any crisis environment, meaning a large jug of bleach purchased today for just a few dollars provides months of both drinking water purification and sanitization capability for an entire household. Bar soap is the other critical piece here, because when liquid soap dispensers run out or stop working, bar soap is the only alternative. And the traditional soap-making method using wood ash and animal or plant fat, which sustained communities across continents through wars and harsh winters for centuries, is chemically equivalent to commercial soap in its antiseptic properties, a fact that modern convenience has completely erased from public knowledge. By the time you hit hours 4 through 6 of a crisis, the majority of store shelves are already bare, but a handful of categories tend to stay on the shelves longer than most people expect. And knowing this gives you a clear-headed advantage in the chaos. Large format oats and coarse grains stay because people in panic mode head straight for pasta and rice. Plastic sheeting and duct tape, which have hundreds of functional uses in a crisis scenario, tend to stay until the final hours. And seeds, oh yes, seeds, which you have almost certainly never heard mentioned in a survival video, but in any crisis extending beyond 2 weeks, the ability to produce food becomes far more valuable than the ability to store it. And a small packet of vegetable seeds with minimal knowledge can mean months of sustained food production. Now here's the list I promised you, and I want to be clear. Completing this list will cost you less than most people spend eating out in a single week. But the difference between having it and not having it in a serious crisis scenario is not marginal. It's total. The list is large capacity water storage container, a LifeStraw type filtration system, a supply of lithium batteries, solid fuel tablets, or a safe indoor propane heater, a minimum 30-day supply of any prescription medications, a large jug of household bleach, bar soap, Mylar blankets, a supply of dry legumes and grains, and seeds. Complete this list this week, not next month, not when something happens. This week, because at Mr. Buddy, we believe that survival is not a matter of luck. It is the product of systematic, calm, and evidence-based preparation. You don't have to be paranoid. You just have to be 10 steps ahead. In the next video, we're going to cover exactly how to store each item on this list, how to rotate it, and how to use it under real crisis conditions. And just like this video, that one is a video you need to watch before you need it, not after. Subscribe now and stay prepared.